And it's working. All right, so just we kind of doing another, I guess you say like a little rambling thing right here and there for
Hold on.
what?
You ain't gonna introduce your guest?
I'm Egg Zero, and this is
Late Night CJ, aka Sweet Daddy in the streets.
and this is just kind of like a little something we're kind of doing on a whim. I'm not sure if I'll do it in the future or not.
Brought to you by Nachos.
Yeah, depending on what we do and how basically I feel going forward. Every Friday I might just look back at old movies or things I used to watch when I was younger, or things I might be watching now. I'm giving an impression of how I feel about it currently.
Right.
And well, I'm just gonna kind of go over my past one of the series that I really liked when I was younger. I have
So, in essence, you're saying, like, we just going, like I use the term, a revisionist review is like, okay.
more like looking back, I guess.
Yeah, how it felt then and how it feels now.
Yeah. And I guess the subject of today's like video discussion would be the Hunger Games series. Now, I have not read this series since I was in middle school, and even then, it was like early middle school, like mid seventh grade, I believe.
Okay.
And during this time, it was one of those popular series that everyone just kind of wanted to read while we went to the library during English, because we had like a library day every week or so to go and check our books, you know, typical stuff for middle school, elementary.
Right.
And Hunger Games, unfortunately, Twilight, Harry Potter was still very popular. And there was another one that was based off vampires, but it was for a kid who was going through middle school to high school. I cannot remember the name of the series for the life of me.
Write it down in the comments if y'all remember.
Yeah, I'll either write it down in the comments or I'll put it like right here or something, saying like, "Oh, is this series, this book, something like that." So, but again, like today's focus is being the Hunger Games.
Now, how many books are in the series?
From my recollection, there's 3. They have the original one, it's just titled Hunger Games. You have the second one, it's called Catching Fire. And the last one was, I believe, Mockingjay.
Okay. Now, they made an adaptation of these books into movies, right? How many movies came out?
There were 4 movies, because you had
4? How they have 4 and there's 3 books?
They had the first one, the second one, they split the second one, the third one into 2, which I thought was
a money grab.
Me and my grandfather, we both thought, yeah, that was a money grab, because
Yeah.
it kind of felt like you could probably squish out some of the issues here and there. So even like minor issues in the third movie that were like again minor issues in the book, they were made to like this big explosive like climactic scene where it's like it wasn't really all that important in the book, or it just wasn't hyped up as much.
You said it was a footnote and y'all made it into an actual point of reference, like there should be something in the
basically.
So did the movie suffer from filler syndrome?
If I would say the first or second movie, not really, no, because if I remember correctly, the writer for the books, whose name I unfortunately forget this time, I'll probably put it here. She was directly involved in each of the movies. I believe she even said we should not split the third book into 2 movies. But
she must have sold the rights.
No.
What? Then how does she not have it?
She has like I'm not sure. She might have like not full creative control, because she's kind of like a consultant, not
That's what
a
they do.
director.
They make them executive consultants. They're like, yeah, we'll use
like
you because
J.K. Rowling. She was a consultant for the Harry Potter books and everything Harry Potter related. She has the full rights to everything. They come to her if they want to do anything.
If they wanted to change something,
they had to come to her
first. They just tell her first, but then they still gonna do it if she doesn't agree.
For J.K. Rowling, no.
See, and that's a good thing, because it sticks to the integrity of the series.
Yeah.
If you do it that way, if they be like, no, that'll take this movie into a whole nother direction away from what the book is based off of. Of course, you're not gonna do
You can't do the whole book,
right,
or the
verbatim.
Like,
an 8-hour movie.
Yeah, for like Hunger Games, the first one,
Right.
they had a lot of inner monologue for the character because character Katniss, who's the main protagonist of the series, she's the one who gets the most focus, and so she has a lot of inner monologue. But in the movie, they basically move the inner monologue to the spectators because
Okay.
that's the whole point. But I guess like we're kind of like jumping all around, so I guess I should explain like the whole plot of the Hunger Games series because
Yes.
I'm assuming you don't know it or you might have heard it here.
nothing
Okay.
about Hunger Games except when people is playing with my food at the restaurant after I ordered and it's taking forever. Those is the Hunger Games I'm used to. I'm sitting there, what's taking so long? Y'all think this is a game? I'm hungry. Hunger Games. But go ahead.
Okay, the whole point is basically this is a very, very blunt summary, I should say, because I'm doing this all on memory, and again, I haven't seen this movie in
And we
or
will
read the
see
books
it
in years.
we will watch this in between, like
Right.
after this, and then you'll be able to come back and tell them how you feel about it.
Yeah, because we're gonna watch the first one again and not like jump to the third book.
Right.
But like the whole kind of like series, like all of North America is kind of like screwed. Like all of North America, I believe, like only a tiny portion. I'd say like from like West Coast to East Coast, pretty much, but like only a little part. They have 13 districts. Well, there was 13 districts because
Like 13 colonies.
I think, except the third one was wiped out because they did nuclear stuff and they tried to rebel against the capital, which is on the furthest side away. And basically, the higher your number is, the more poverty you have, but the lower your number is, like, the greater your wealth is.
Right.
But you have, like, the 13 districts and the capital.
Right. Keep going.
The 13th district was wiped out because they tried to rebel against the capital. And doing so, the capital enacted a punishment on each of the remaining 12 districts, where each year, I believe, each 5 years, but I think it's each year, they have to pick 2 representatives from the district, one boy and one girl, between the ages of, I believe, it's either 13 to 18 or it's from 11 to 18. And between each of those years, they'll again pick a boy and a girl from each district, send them to the capital, and they will fight to the death for the amusement of everyone. I say amusement, but it's primarily like districts 4 and onwards that kind of get amusement onward. I'd probably say 4, but it's probably like 2 and onwards, like 2 to the capital that gets amusement out of this. And the last surviving child, because they are children, wins the Hunger Games. They get to live.
Right.
And I believe when the series starts, they start with the 74th Hunger Games. And Katniss volunteers herself in place of her sister
Why?
because her sister got picked, and her sister is much younger than her. Like, her sister's age is about 6's age. So she volunteers herself in place of her sister to go for the Hunger Games. And thus, that's like the whole point, like, the whole thing, like, I volunteer came from. And that's like the premise of the movie.
Okay. And I feel like I might actually be interested in this. I had no interest in it when it came out, but the way you described it, I'd like to see how it unfolds. But I'm almost getting a little anxious because I know how sequels work.
Yeah.
And after the second one, they turned into tremendous money grabs because now it's a brand,
It's
a global brand outside of its niche. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I always refer to The Matrix.
Yeah.
1, 2, I was fine with it. 2 was a little bit of a drop off, but I also have the ability to not look at them like in comparison. Like, I'm just gonna look at the part 2 as a new movie, so to speak, instead of like, well, it wasn't as good as the first one. But when you start getting to the third one, and then you finally get to Matrix Revolutions, it's like, is this even the Matrix anymore? This, is it the Matrix, or is this Neo or Jesus? Which one is it?
They do that with a lot of series. Like, they always have a character that's an anagram for Jesus or not. But then again, with the Matrix, they were gonna originally have Will Smith as Neo. But yeah. What I can tell you about this, from my recollection, you really don't have to worry about it all that much for the sequels, except maybe Mockingjay, because they have to remove inner dialogue for the characters, because like it always comes off as weird if you have inner dialogue if it's not a cartoon, TV show, or anime. Because you can get away with it in there. In movies, it feels jarring because you don't see it as often.
Right.
So that's like the only problem. But I will say, like, here's me kind of hoping. I'm kind of going into this with the new mindset of not reading it just off the books.
Right.
I have like a general memory of what happened.
Right.
But it was. That's kind of like, again, like me going there with like a new mindset. I don't fully remember.
Right.
I remember key points, but yeah, overall I think it's good. We're going to see if we feel about this. I'll probably post this later today. Say, all right.
Let me tell you this. Mind you, when we come back, my review of this movie is going to be totally first watch in history.
Yeah.
Just as a reference point, when y'all come back and y'all listen, you be like, okay, he's never seen it, never read a book, doesn't know the premise other than what Omega Zero has said.
Yeah. So we're just gonna.
So mine's gonna be raw.
Mine's gonna be my second viewing after like
some years,
a good portion of years.
Yeah.
I want to say almost a decade at this point.
Yeah.
For the books at the very least.
Right.
But I'm Omega Zero.
I am Late Night CJ, aka his daddy in the streets.
And we're gonna get back to you afterwards with our in-depth review
Yes,
of The Hunger Games.